Howdy funky people, welcome to Carfunkle. I'm a fuzzy rat thing that they call a carbuncle, and I make mythology videos. Like you, probably, I've been playing a ton of Hades 2. I love the Hades series because as someone who breathes mythology, there is a ton here that is not only myth accurate, but builds on the characters' myths with tons of new lore, as well as providing lore for lesser known characters. But this game is full of Greek mythology references, so the game only gets better the more you know. As for unknown characters like I mentioned before, with new lore, Lord Moros is one such character. So don't expect a long one. In Greek mythology we have very little info about Lord Moros, but he's what is called a personification, or incarnate. What this means is that they're a physical manifestation of their own domain. In Moros' case, he represents doom, and his name literally means doom. Personifications in Greek culture were often used in the poetic sense. For example, if I made a painting of a hero and Moros was present, you'd infer that what is happening suggests that the hero is doomed, is fighting their doom, or their path leads to doom. Since things like pottery and painting weren't always accompanied with text and a story, you'd have a picture of Moros to represent doom. For example, there's some pots of Heracles fighting Garrus. No one knows what the story is behind it, but you might be able to guess what it's about purely based on the presence of Garrus. Garrus is the personification of old age, so this piece could be about Heracles defeating old age. Since we know Heracles became a god, this could be taken literally. By becoming a god, he defeated aging. That, or a potter, really wanted to see Heracles beat an old man up. Pretty much any concept can be a personification such as laws, fears, types of love, states, and more. These characters rarely feature as leads in their myths, and are more often invoked by name, as their name is the concept too, or just show up in the background. In the case of Moros, like I said, his name literally means doom, so in English, his name would be Doom. But that would get too confusing, so instead we call him by his Greek name, Moros. In Hesiod's Theogony, a poem about the origins of all the gods, he tells us of Moros' parentage by saying, "And Nyx the night bore hateful Moros," alongside his brothers Care, the violent death, Thanatos, death, Hypnos, sleep, and the Oneiroi, a group of incarnates representing dreams. There are a lot more siblings of Moros, as the vast majority of personifications were born by Nyx, which is, his mother. Interesting thing about them is that they were born by Nyx alone, meaning that she did what is called parthenogenesis, which means birthed by a mother without a father by essentially cloning herself. She essentially took aspects of herself and birthed them into separate individuals. The only form of mythology we have is a mention of him in Prometheus Bound. It's a myth telling about Prometheus' betrayal of Zeus and his punishment. If you haven't heard of Prometheus, he suggested to Zeus that humans be given fire. But Zeus said humans are dumb and it would only lead to more suffering than they're currently in. Prometheus didn't believe him and stole the fires of Mount Olympus and brought it to man. While there, he taught them everything he knew: fire, how to make it, and art. Humans did as Zeus predicted and used fire as a weapon. Once Zeus found out, he had Prometheus tied to a rock where every day an eagle would pluck his liver from him and consume it. Each day the liver would regenerate, and each day the eagle would return to consume it again. In conversation, Prometheus says he gave humans Elpis, the personification of hope, in order to ignore the inevitability of Moros, calling Moros the all-destroying god who, even in death, doesn't free his victim. So not only is death associated with doom and the planned demise of each mortal, but with long-term suffering too. That's it for the mythology, and we don't even have a picture of Moros. So Supergiant Games had total free reign with Lord Moros. In the game, he's portrayed with an intimidating yet attractive visage adorned by skulls and antlers, and bearing a sword. His skin tone matches that of his brethren, the other children of Nyx. You meet him in the game by casting a spell to meet the fates, and upon your next defeat, he appears to you in the world between your death and revival, sort of like in a dream. There he tells you that he was sent by the fates to deliver a gift to you, the gift being the fates' prophecies, a checklist of things Melanoe must do before achieving her goal. You might think, based on his history, that he might be a cruel and imposing figure, but he's actually very nice and polite. A little too formal, but still nice. Being a son of Nyx, he doesn't have a reason to oppose you, as you're all on the same side. You even openly welcome him by saying all children of Nyx are welcome. I think it would have been interesting if they introduced him as some sort of rival to Melanoe, someone who consistently comes in and tries to steal your duty from you. Maybe he tries to stop you, but they could have made his role as Doom a little more obvious. because, as it is, he doesn't really do much dooming. But the game already has a rival for you, as well as a plethora of sub-bosses. So maybe adding Moros in as a rival would have been a little too much, but they could have done what Artemis does. He speaks to you and says, "Your end is nigh," and he spawns enemies to thwart you. Just tossing ideas out there. Moros and Nyx's children have already been established as friends, so it'd be weird in the game if he were to be anything but a friend, lore-wise. But that's pretty much it. If you want to learn more about Lord Moros and his siblings, you'll have to play Hades 2, or subscribe for more mythology videos. Thanks for watching.